I'm trying to live until I die. Come connect, you know it's a lewd state of mind. Yeah, talking traveling. If you wanna fly, fitness and finance, living a better life, keep it raw, no filter, living with no limit. Thank you for tuning in. Come on, let's get it.
Welcome to Lewd Studios. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, mate. Absolute privilege to be here. Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much. You guys are Bayside royalty. Do you want to introduce yourself to our listeners?
Please, Bruno. You're too kind. There is lots of Runnez stickers getting around, isn't there? I'm Rick Mirabella. I'm the head coach of Runnez, Runnez.com, and the co-director and founder with
Shell Mirabella, and the wife of Runnez and the back end of Runnez.
The back end.
The everything.
The backbone.
The backbone.
The everything, mate.
They say behind every good man there's a great lady. Is that correct?
By some margin too, mate. Like I think people would be quite open with that I don't do. I'm very much get a lot of the praise, but I do fuck all really. It's all about the ops manager here and everything. She does everything.
Well, let's be honest, mate. You are punching above your weight.
A fair way to Don Bradman. One of our Runnez sessions actually that's on the app that's been a big favourite is called the Don Bradman, and it's named after. Well, that was myself because Shelley was in that session. And it's a good Aussie vernacular that a lot of us ugly pricks do have very attractive looking females. So there's an Aussie, it might be an Aussie thing, I don't know. And there was a Don Bradman Mark II that was another good session with another bloke who was also punching above his weight. But you wouldn't know anything about that, but I'm sure you would, Brenna. I haven't seen your lovely wife, but you are a very attractive man, unlike myself, so I haven't seen your lovely partner.
Like I said before, you're aging like a beautiful red wine.
Thank you
does
very,
look good,
very
doesn't he?
much. I appreciate that.
I don't know if he's over just his mindset or what, but he looks magnificent.
I'm feeling really good, and I'm feeling really good about Lewd. And it's, as I said, it's just an honour to have you guys here. Let's go back to the start. For those people that don't know what Runnez is, explain to them, A, how it started, and B, what's it all about.
Yeah, look, it started at the beginning of 2007, mate. I've always loved what distance running, what running in general does for people, and just what a routine and structure does for people. Mm-hmm. But I know with running or marathons or interval training or just the science in general can put a few people off, and especially if they're not regular runners, or they go, where do I start? The paces or the speeds, and I'll never be as good as him or her. I can't run for 4 minutes, all that stuff. So I'm also a big Australian rules background, so I'd probably just devised those two passions of mine with the science of a normal 10,000 metre type runner. And I thought, well, the track's not going to work because everyone's at different paces back then. Mm-hmm. So I brought it indoors on treadmills, and I devised a perceived rate of exertion scale, or a runner's PRE scale, that just allows everyone to run at the same intensity and derive the same stimuli as the next person, whether they're running 2-minute 50 kilometres or 7-minute kilometres. So that was indoors on treadies, and Shell was one of the first debut members there back in 2007. Then we just kind of evolved and obviously got into the filming and the apps sort of all, and then we had a massive studio. Now we are on the track doing a bit, but 98% of our members are just on the app online. 2 sessions a week, 42-minute interval sessions, will get you extremely fit. So 42-minute interval sessions is the major, I guess, nucleus of it at its core. Yep. But it is for everybody. People that can't run 1 minute, people that want to run 30-minute 10 kilometres, people that want to run 80-minute 10 kilometres, and lots of people in between, mate. So it's about the individual, which is what I love, because most runners will know that your 90% is going to be very different one day to the next. So if you listen to your body and you tick the box 1 or 2 sessions a week for 50, 100, 400 weeks in a row, the rest flows. And from a mental, emotional and spiritual state, that's the journey, isn't it? Like, the journey is the success, the process is the success.
Yes.
And the race and the game of footy or netball, that's a nice little byproduct that you'll derive the fruits of your labour from. But I don't know if I've wandered off there, but that is Runnez in a nutshell. A footy team, netball, a team in what was previously considered, I guess, an individual pursuit.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. Running is it's an individual sport, and it can be hard pounding the pavements and trying to get those paces and spending all that time to get better. I've done your classes when you're indoors, and it's amazing. Just the atmosphere, the camaraderie. You're right next to a row of people, but you're individually trying to be better. And for me, that's how your program works. It's about me as an individual, not racing against the person next door to me, but racing against myself and mentally trying to break through these barriers and go, well, yes, I know my body can do it. My head's not probably right there at the moment, but when you put yourself or you put somebody in that situation like you guys created, you just get that next level, you get that next step up, and it's amazing. It's fantastic. So the system that you had indoors. Now, I don't want to talk about COVID, but COVID was big for you guys. I mean, it probably wasn't great for a lot of other people, but as a business, what happened? When you realised that you couldn't open because of the government regulations, what was the conversation you guys sat down and had together?
Yeah, well, I was just laughing because we just started filming the next day. Well, we had a lot of our runner sessions already pre-recorded because we had an app out back, in 2016. I think we released that. So I suppose in that sense we're a little bit ahead of our time. The world probably wasn't ready for it when we launched it, but then we had it ready to go. So that was amazing. We had an online platform sitting there that Rick does some football work with the pre-season clubs. So yeah, we just literally worked for probably 3 or 4 days straight. Just
You did.
So you guys were ahead of the game. You were pretty much pandemic proof, weren't you?
I remember it vividly, mate. Look, Shell did literally 2 or 3 days straight, and she was in the office, and I couldn't help her much, unfortunately, because my skill set wasn't there, and I'm not. Shell was amazing in the office, and she'll get embarrassed. But I remember it vividly, mate. Like March 23, we found out we were going to close the doors, and yeah, so we launched this. Yeah, it was pandemic proof, but you make your own luck, really, don't you? Like we were proof, and then yeah, we released it, and every one of our members jumped on, and it was awesome. And
were you concerned? Did you look at each other and go, we might be in the shit here?
Oh, I suppose at that time you sort of don't really, it's a bit of a...
You roll with the punches, yeah. You're one day at a time type activity, but obviously you got your balls on the line in a massive way. But you always back yourself. I think we backed ourselves in to be pretty okay with it, and I think we know that we're all our only service is to help people. So I think when your service is to helping people, mate, I think we've got the runs on the board, and people, I think we're always going to understand that we love helping, and people needed that, especially that period. And now post that 2.5, 3 years, wherever we are, it's just gone obviously quite well. But that period was quite weird, as you guys can attest to. You're just going.
Oh, it's just weird for everybody. I mean, nobody knew what was going to happen, and then when you've got these shutdowns and you've got a business, and your business is directly affected by it, it's pretty scary. But what you've done is you've pivoted. And lucky for you guys, because you're ahead of the game, you had your app, you had all this online content, you just stepped up, and that's what makes you guys superstars. And it's not just about that personal achievement, but it's about your clients here and around the world and what you've provided to them. So that in itself is just amazing. All right, so yes, COVID in the rear vision mirror now. You guys, how have things tracked since you had to pivot and basically change the makeup of what you're doing on a daily basis? I mean, Rick, you weren't getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning every morning?
No.
No?
Do you want to go there? No, I am a bit now, but I enjoy we'll probably get to that later, but I enjoy getting up early, but it was more just the time of, for so many years I was getting up at 4 to yell and to coach over music for hundreds of people every day, which was probably starting to take its toll, to be fair. It's probably a better balance. Would you agree?
Yeah,
Far
for
better
sure.
balance.
I think we stumbled across an old timetable and we both just laughed a bit at it and didn't realize, just couldn't believe what he sort of used to do. The energy exerted. We bought a bunch of microphones and he'd rip them off. He's just used to yelling and it was like amazing.
Oh, the energy in those classes was amazing, and to keep that up on a constant basis, it's got to be a little bit draining, But that's why your clients, your clients were there.
I think the way we're doing it now is a great model. Like we've got obviously the app that are recorded with great humour, science, structure, and a lot of banter as well. We've got the live sessions that they get a bit of like real time stuff, and all the obviously strength and conditioning, meditation. So there's a lot of real time stuff, real time connection with phone, email, Zoom stuff, with programming. So it's a perfect mix of being able to do what I do from a science and structure perspective, but also talk a bit of shit, banter, include everyone as one team. It's the perfect mix. And like you said before, you got people in Europe, China, States, shitloads in Melbourne here, Bayside. Lots of stickers getting around, the Brendan Gray holy shirt stickers that are famous, and all this kind of stuff. So it's a perfect mix, mate. Really happy with where it's at. Would you say COVID definitely helped the progression? Because I remember doing this in 2017-18 when obviously yourself and that were running, and it was magnificent, but life was great, people were great, but I couldn't have kept doing it. The sustainability wasn't there. I remember saying to Shell, I said, we was pushing so much time into this app because I know that this helped. And then now people are using it and loving it, and I still haven't met them in person, or they're texting and emailing me from overseas, and that's what you want.
Yeah.
Because we know that this system works, and it doesn't have to be done to death. Just 1 or 2 sessions a week, and again, process, journey. Just move. You're so good at it, mate. Just get up and move. You're in the gym every morning. Just move. It's just that simple.
Well, it's simple life lesson. It's just 1 foot in front of the other. And I've constantly been in situations where I've gone, well, mentally, it is just 1 foot in front of the other. And it's the same with what you guys do. Start with 1 foot in front of the other. Just work it. And then you've got to start somewhere, don't you? So if we can just back up a little bit to where it all started for you. Where was the passion for running, and the passion for the science of running, and the passion for teaching people? When did that start?
Oh, definitely primary school, I'd say. Primary school, always footy and running for me, and knowing that I just loved communicating and leading and coaching and captaining, whatever. But definitely far better coach than an athlete. I knew I was probably never gonna make the Olympics or play AFL, but I even during that whole phase of running and playing football in my 20s and that, I was always studying and leading groups. And so early 20s I started Runners purely because I was doing both still, like I said, at the same time. And the way the malleability of the human body, I think, would be the major thing. Like as a 12-year-old, knowing that you could change your skeletal muscle or your lungs or physiology, your left ventricle, just with a bit of training. I don't understand it back then, obviously, but I knew that, geez, we can change our bodies just by doing these things, or doing a bench press or a push-up. And stress plus rest equals growth, as we know now. So I guess I think I went around in circles there, mate, but the malleability and the adaptation process, like the humans are the great adapters, as we say. So if Breno wants to get better at running a 400, all he's got to do is train 3 or 4 times a week, sleep well, eat well, regenerate, and the body goes, fuck, he's going to make me do that again. So I've got to actually repair, regenerate, and adapt to what Brendan's making me do. Same at footy and same in the basketball. The three or four of my main sports, I was always likening it to that. How can I get better at this? How can I make my team better at this? How can I make him better if I'm gonna help him, because he's a bit like slow off the mark? Where's his top end speed? So all that stuff as a kid, I guess, and then obviously you study and you start to get better at things. And I was actually a tradie and a landscaper because I grew up in a town called Somerville on the Mornington Peninsula, and I loved it. Loved my footy club, but everyone was a tradie, and I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. So I just did landscaping. I'm the worst landscaper in the history of the world. Don't ever bloody pay me to do anything. I wouldn't ever know how to bloody pave. But even when I was landscaping, I was working out. So I stopped that, studied, and did what I did. But no, the physiology, the human malleability, but more now the psychology of the last 15, 20 years. I just want everybody to know. Like, we were in the gym this morning at 6. I just want everybody to know the benefits day to day. Like, you don't have to be an Olympian. There's no egos. There's no comparison. It's got to be about you. It has to be about you.
But it starts with education. You don't know until you know.
I know, mate. Yeah, it's hard.
And so we're talking about teenagers, young youth.
Yes, mate.
I've got one sitting over here.
Good looking rooster too. Bloody hell. I wish I looked like Mav when I was 13. Christ almighty.
So what would you recommend for a 13-year-old boy who plays football, he plays rugby? We've just tried to get him, he's just started to get into the gym, which is fantastic. Mm-hmm. He wants to learn. What would you do if it was your son? Yeah. Where would you steer him, and why would you steer him? What would you do?
Good question. Well, we've got a 12 and a 16-year-old and a 5-year-old at home. And so in that hitting zone, definitely a wide variance of sports. I think at this young age, 13 is still very important. So footy, rugby, perfect. Weights, yes, doesn't have to be crazy, but you want to be going through all athletic movements. So you want to be doing your plyometrics. You want to be doing your landing mechanics, but nothing that's going to cook their nervous system. So if you're in, say, a 7-day routine in season, might look something like footy training, rugby training, 2 nights.
Yep.
Game. There's 4 already.
Yep.
And an extra weight session, but nothing crazy, just your basics. So 1 push, 1 pull, 1 lower body, a plyometric, so whether it's a box jump or a stiff leg landing or whatever. Just it's got to be intelligent. So everything we do in life's got to have a purpose. As we know, we've got Lured here, beautiful brand. Mav must have a purpose to every lift he does. And yes, body weight strength is crucial. So push-ups, chin-ups and all that kind of stuff. Your planks, your side planks, single limb symmetry, all that kind of stuff really important. So you could have 2 strength days between those 2, and there's your 6 days. Running, fatigue resistance, something like that would be really important as well, I'd suggest. But then where's your regen? So recovery is important as well.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You don't want to overdo it. So the major thing if you've got a 13-year-old at home or any teenager that wants to continue to improve is to always be doing enough without pushing them over the edge. So if you think they're looking like they're struggling or they're lagging or they're not feeling great physically, it's usually a sign they need a rest. So recovery is king. Sleep for Mav is definitely, and for all the 13-year-olds, is king. Sleep is when you regenerate, and testosterone is obviously produced. So sleep is massive.
It's massive for anybody, isn't it?
Sleep is
doesn't matter whether you're 13 or you're 55. It's got to be part of your regime. You know, for your mental health, 8 hours at least. You know, eat well, exercise. As I said, it doesn't matter how old you are.
Sleep is king, mate. And I like a daytime nap. Shelley gets like, just do some work. I said, chop, let a little nap sometimes. But most days.
Great.
But sleep is the greatest drug on earth. And the science coming out now, mate, and these kind of shows are great because what you're promoting and what so many people have promoted the last 10 years since this kind of content has come out is about that. Or I grew up on you sleep when you're dead. You sleep when you're dead. All that kind of stuff. And we partied so hard, we worked so hard, we trained so hard. Any wonder we always got sick, you know what I mean? Honestly.
Well, I relate that situation back to when I was racing motorbikes as a teenager. We used to roll up to the track hungover, and then I'd put out a cigarette, put the helmet on and go racing. There was nothing about physical fitness or any sort of regime about nutrition or anything to do with body, mind, soul. And as a result of that, I had accidents, and they were specifically related to just not being physically fit enough, fatigue, and it's a shame. It's a shame that I didn't have somebody next to me at that age going, hey, put that cigarette out. You know, you need to do some push-ups. You need to get in the gym. You know, you're racing motorbikes. It's high intense, you know, and it's not just physical, it's mental as well too. And if the two aren't in sync, well, you're fighting uphill. You know, it's
Times have changed, brother, which is a good thing for our kids because, it was a very different time, mate. Like, I grew up in the 90s, a very different time. And, I knew all the physiology, I knew all the stuff, and I still did the wrong thing. So, times are different, which is good, to be honest.
it is a good thing.
Yeah, it's a
It is
great
good
thing.
And
Our
al-
kids won't be doing that.
Yeah, even the meditating if you can't sleep, just taking the time just to pause and, put something in your ears and just taking that moment, because you need your mind to connect with your body at all times, and by doing that time and time again, it's going to help you when you're out there performing. If you're just out there and your just body's doing that and your mind's not in it.
Well, let's talk about more about what you do with the mental side of things.
Yeah, well, I suppose I do sound healing, and do lots of sound meditation, but yeah, I basically got into it for anxiety, and it's helped me immensely.
You personally?
Yeah, personally.
How bad was your anxiety?
Looking back, I didn't think it was just the normal, and I mean, when I was going through it my whole life basically, and now that I'm sort of a lot better at understanding, I look back and I can't believe I used to live that way.
Well, yeah. Once again, you don't know if that's what's normal for you, and you haven't had anything other than that, you know.
Yeah.
So, did it get to the point where it was panic attacks, or it was just that panic attacks?
Yeah, there was panic attacks, because I suppose you just don't really know how to deal with the stress levels, and then they just bank up.
I had my first panic attack at 49 in the car on the side. Well, I basically had to pull over, and on the side of the road I thought I was dying in Elwood. And it just came out of the blue. There was some theory behind it about COVID vaccinations and blood clots. I actually thought I was having a blood clot. And yeah, I thought I was dying. And that for me was with heart attack at 50, or I'm getting in that range. And when we're sitting in the hospital, I was embarrassed. I mean, it's during COVID. There's all these people that need attention, and I'm taking up a bed because I've had a panic attack. And it was only after talking to the doctor I actually understand what happened and the reason why it happened. And I think part of like mental health and all that sort of stuff is that you have to understand where you've come from and where you are, how you got there, and then the journey that got you there. And then so I'm acutely aware of my journey and what happened, why it happened, and that understanding and the clarity from that understanding is amazing. Once you realise.
It's light, isn't it?
Anyway, back to what you were saying about what you do.
Yeah. So I incorporate sounds. Sounds help people that are not used to meditating fall in easy, like slip in easier. So they help you go there, and all different types of instruments. It's incredible. It's how they create vibrations within you at a cellular level, which helps heal inside. And
I'm going to have to try it.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the makeup of male versus female in your classes?
It's funny you say that. When we started probably 4 years ago, there was only 2 people that came regularly as you start up something.
Well,
and,
exactly. You got to start somewhere, don't you?
And they were actually just 2 males, and I think they just felt sorry for us at the start. They just kept going.
Rubbish.
But no, probably I would say the majority female, but that's probably just in our marketing and where our clients. But yeah, it's absolutely for everybody, and I do one-on-ones and smaller groups, and Ricky's experienced it a few times.
Yes, I need it more than anybody, but they do, obviously the app stuff's great. The meditation stuff on the app for all that kind of stuff is really important, and like what they do in the class is obviously sensational. And I think the thing with mums especially, they need it so much to put it in, and I think they probably market to that. But males, any male needs it. Like everyone needs it. Let's be honest. Like we've all got our stuff we're doing. Just to go inward, and I don't go inward anywhere near enough. And Shell tries to help myself as well. Just to go inward, and like you said, you talk about before, like as a 49-year-old, not knowing it was coming, like kind of stuff like that's. But now retrospectively looking back, you can see that, and mate, we're very, very, very passionate about that side of it. It's certainly not about like this is number one, and running comes a distant second. Emotional and mental well-being, and being able to help everybody try to ascertain where they're at, look inward, what works for you. If it's running, then great, but usually it's physical exercise of some nature. Let's be honest. Like if you can move every day, we always say if you've got family has to be number one, but movement is always got to be equal number one almost. And what we're talking about here, whether it's meditation of the sound healing variety or other kinds of meditation, or just being with yourself for 5 minutes and
just
looking
taking that time out, exactly.
journaling or whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be. There's not one size fits all, but it's just not putting stuff to the back and going, I'll deal with that later, and having 15 other things and always being on, and cortisol levels are rising again, and stress hormones and anxiety levels are rising, and mate, I'm the key perpetrator of it all. So I know it more than anybody. So yeah, we try our best to help where we can with people, and hopefully we do that. And I know we get a lot of good feedback about that more than anything. PBs are great, and all the medals and footy and marathons, hundreds and thousands of marathons. But it's not about that. It's about this, and hopefully they can be better parents, mums, dads, grandparents, and just better human beings, and that's number one.
Yeah. Well, for me personally, the reason why I took up running was for my mental health, and amazing, absolutely amazing from that first time when you go, all right, once again, one foot after the other, you get up in the morning, you put those runners on.
That's awesome, mate.
As soon as you step out the door, it's you on the road, you know, and just having that, just the running alone and having that time by yourself, to have those thoughts, whether you're out there clearing your head because you're concentrating on your breathing, you're concentrating on your stance, you're concentrating on the traffic, or you just go off somewhere and just off on a tangent, and then next thing you know, you've run 5Ks, which is brilliant. You know, it's like jumping on a treadmill and watching a doco. You know, it's like, oh, I've done 30 minutes already. How great was that?
And the hardest is the first minute or two, just getting out the door.
It is. And so, as you say about the mental side of things, they have to come part and parcel with each other. It's like, okay, I've put my shoes on, I've stepped out the door. I know the first couple of steps are going to hurt a little bit. You know, my knees are going to take 5 minutes to warm up, but after that, it's going to be pleasurable. And we talk about the runner's high. Now, for anybody that doesn't know about the runner's high, it's like the same as somebody that has never suffered a migraine before. You just, unless you've had it, you don't know what you're missing out on. I'm not saying migraines are memorable, but
weird analogy, weird metaphor to go down, but I cop that. No, I know, mate. I know what you mean. You can't explain to someone. It's like anything. But yeah, they're neurotransmitters, mate. Endorphins, the famous one, serotonin, dopamine, all these things that we get on all sides. If we you two, Breno and Shelley, love their snowboarding and all the adventure sports and that. It's not too dissimilar, but running is something you can do. Not just running, like the high intensity, breathless stuff. I just say if you can get breathless before breakfast, your life's going to be magnificent. Sweat before sunrise, all the old stuff we say, but 1 or 2 sessions a week really go balls to the wall. And the endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, well, I've got that word wrong, but there's 4 neurotransmitters that are huge. And these are the things, mate. It's just chemicals. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
If you're running at 8-minute kilometre pace or 3-minute kilometre pace, mate, it's the same stimuli. It's the same hardness and the same beautiful feel good hormones getting released.
We talked about marathons. I've done one. I did the 2012 Melbourne.
I've seen some pics, and I tell
you
you
what. We got a picture there, man. We got me looking like I've.
I tell you what, if you've seen a better looking bloke, look at this. Going on, wait, you got to warn the ladies before you throw this up. I can put some form of disclaimer on this because I tell you what. Oh, have a look at that. Look at the.
I can say that my nipples weren't bleeding. The the one thing I did learn was to take my nipples, but that was coming into the MCG, which was the finish. Now, I was hoping for a sub-4. I didn't quite get there, and I was in a lot of pain, but as soon as I came into that cauldron and the crowd, I just lifted, and it was like everything makes sense. It all was worthwhile, and it was an amazing journey. It had ups and downs, tears and joy, and it was a brilliant experience. And the reason why it was so special was that I earned the right to do that, and that was my race. And it didn't turn out how I wanted it, but to complete something like that is amazing. And unless you've done it, you don't know. And for anybody that's going to do a marathon, wants to do a marathon, has never done a marathon, if you can, you should.
Brilliant. And mate, the marathon's one of those things. Like it's this arbitrary distance. Obviously, Philippides in the 1800s, they say, ran from Philippides to Athens, wherever it was, and it landed on 42.195 and 26.2 mile, whatever it was. And now the marathon was born in 1896, and now we're still running it all these years later. It's crazy. It's this arbitrary, but it brings out that kind of stuff. Exactly what you said, mate. Look, it's not about the physical nature. Like, everyone wants to run a certain time, sub-4, sub-3, sub-5, whatever. But what you just described, the last 300 metres in the MCG, and it's a pretty special time. And that's why I really do encourage people to... We've obviously got lots of people that have done them, and we'll do 1 or 2 or 3, and then might end up doing 6, or might just drop back to shorter stuff, or might just do footy or netball and then just say, oh, I'm done. But the marathon, from a psychological and spiritual level, exactly what you said, earned the right's a great way to describe it. You earned the right for that experience. And life is a bit like you've done more than anything, mate, in life, I reckon. Life is about experiences. And what you experience in that last 300 metres, you can see some nice pics there. Look at him, Flint. Look at that. You got to put that back on, Mav. Look at that.
look at me grimacing.
That's about 40, nearly 41 kilometres, that mark, I reckon, from memory. And that's
like a nice day.
It's a beautiful photo. 2012 was a nice day, and look at that. It's 10 years ago now, but look at that beautiful Flinders Street in the back.
Oh, I know. It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah. I everything was going well for me until about the 36k mark, and then realised that I just didn't have enough salt in my system, and my quads cramped up. So that last how many Ks, it was pure agony. And I was walking and I was running, and I knew my time was slipping away. And the hard thing about it was that I trained so hard, knowing that I could do a sub-4, and it didn't happen. But I finished it, I did it, and tick, job done. But the thing is, it left me wanting more. It left me hungry to come back and better what I'd done. And the knowledge I'd gained from that was amazing about my body. Obviously, I didn't know about salt tablets back then. I didn't know I needed salt tablets. You know, we had the little...
gels.
Yeah, little gels. But that wasn't enough for me. Really happy I did it.
Can you do a precursor? I didn't train him for this, guys. Can you make sure you tell... There's no way he would have done that if I was training him at this time. Can we...
Well, no, it's...
Make sure you bloody put this across the bottom, because he could... People might just be thinking that I got him to that and told him nothing about like that. Good.
As we know, as I've discussed, I'm a very stubborn person. I'm not coachable. I don't like being told what to do, and it's only through these experiences like that I learn. I'm one of those guys that learn the hard way, you know. And that's the reason why I started running with you guys, was because I knew that I didn't have it in me to do the job properly. So that's why I came to you guys and started running with you.
Well, your fitness is, and I'll definitely say that, when you're at your very best, a very, very good level of running fitness. I know you've done a lot in your life, other stuff, mate, but from a fitness perspective, a marathon, as you've just heard there, isn't all about the fitness. Your fitness was probably 340, but the chassis, the electrolytes, the cramping let you down. The chassis as the body.
Yeah.
And you're spot on, mate. There's a lot more that goes into a marathon. Fitness gets you a very long way, especially 5, 10, and a half marathon or anything around 90 minutes. Once you get over 90 minutes, there's a lot of stuff that starts to creep in.
Yep.
A lot.
Yep.
And I love that take. And what you said about the earn the right is a brilliant thing. And just the fact you finish, mate. Like the central governor we talk about all the time, Tim Noakes, did some good work in the early 90s, South African physiologist, on our brain. We are wired for safety. We're wired for comfort. Right? We are wired that way as human beings. Our body, our brain, our mind will always take the easy route because we're wired that way. That's tens of thousands of millennia of evolution. So we'll always try to take the easy way out. Okay, and our body will say, "Hang on a minute, you're in a bit of danger here. You're in a bit of danger. It's much safer to pull back." Or, Jesus Christ, you got 2 cramping quadriceps, rectus femoris muscles just absolutely going off. You can't possibly keep jogging. So then, once we overcome that once and twice, 6, 15 times, 25 times, it's what it's good to tell our kids. You can always go past discomfort. You can always go past a bit of discomfort. And you've experienced that. That's a huge high to actually get past that last 6 or 7K when everything in your being was telling you to stop.
There was no way I was going to let it beat me. No way. Not after all the hard work I'd done. No way. Stubborn as...
I love it, brother. And that's that's a magnificent way to be, great man. No, it's a good thing. I recommend everyone do it, even if you're like the most antithesis of a runner you've ever seen. I think a marathon's a great thing to do, just once in your life.
Okay, let's go back to the online app that you've got. So it's runners.com for our listeners. Online app, all the programs you're going to need. Now, Redzone. I'm looking at Redzone. Explain to me about Redzone.
Oh, well, the Runners, you can find Runnez App in all the app stores, iTunes and all the Android app stores. But the Redzone is a step up from the app. It's got all the runner sessions, which is a full library, full year's worth of 45-minute interval running sessions. So speed, endurance, fartlek, aerobic power. Me, with a couple of people behind me on treadmills, talking to you, Breno. Probably 95% of people run to them outside, mate. So they're your bread and butter sessions. Okay, so you got all that library. You got your live. We do live sessions via Zoom, actually, and they're the ones that every Monday you got people all over the world running on, which is brilliant.
Awesome.
Never miss a Monday.
Never miss a Monday.
Never miss a Monday.
6 a.m.
And
with everyone.
They're fully uploaded as well. So you got those 2 runner sessions. They got 2 runner sessions a week. Bang. The Redzone is more, and then you got obviously lots of strength videos that we're always filming, meditation from Shell and Juz. We've got yoga. Just we're trying to have their whole week structured, and then one of the biggest things in the Redzone is the team, access to me, email, phone, Zoom consults. It's just the most, I guess, complete coaching package that we can offer, and a lot of people love it because they can have that team ethos. They can have the session so that anytime, anywhere. So Breno can be in Japan and do his 2 runner sessions a week that I've devised. It's just any time, mate. Like the AirPods go in and off you go. And it's your quality session of the week, those running sessions. They're your breathless stuff. And it just works, mate. The feedback we've got is great because people just love. Most important is when they're feeling like shit from a mental or physical perspective. They just get out the door, putting the voice in the ears and off they go. And all of a sudden it's 15 minutes in and they're feeling a lot better. So I think it's important when you're feeling good or you're in peak condition, circa 2012, if we look at that medal. But it's more important when you feel like shit, physically, mentally, didn't get a shit night's sleep, had a shit day at work, whatever it may be. That's when I think I believe runner sessions are at their best, and we believe we know from feedback that we are for the busy person. Runner sessions are for the busy person, busy mum, busy dad, working, time poor. Of course, a lot of elite guys, but it's not about them. It's definitely about the busy family member or work member. But that's Runnez Redzone in a nutshell. I've got no doubt you could add something.
Yeah. So, Rick will keep you on board. He's got program. He talks to you all the time about where you're at, and he'll give you your program. So I think the main thing is the structure that people really need. So we sort of base it on, this is an ideal week, your 2 runner sessions, as Rick said. Then you've got your longer session if you're training for an event. But yeah, access to Rick is awesome, and the community is amazing.
How much time do you spend on a daily basis supporting your members?
Yeah, there's a few hours a day, but that's my job, and I do love it. So that's, I guess, where the Redzone is obviously I do some face-to-face stuff still, a little bit of football stuff, a little bit of working on the business, but Shell definitely does a lot more work on the business, and we've got some staff that do that. And my job is it really is, because I do love those people. They're part of the team that we are. We are just one big team, and whether they're in Melbourne, Sydney, New Zealand, Japan, wherever it may be, I'm lucky to be doing what I do, because at least I can serve people as a passion of mine, which I do love human beings, especially good ones like we've got. We try to have no egos, no wankers, as you could attest to. We haven't got many, well, we've got none actually now. It's just all about good people helping good people, lifting people up, which is...
the camaraderie and the spirit is just amazing. As we said, it being an individual sport, but being part of a team.
Yeah.
I know it's a generalisation, but it is the case, mate. And you look at I know you're obviously a proud Kiwi, and I love team sports like so much. I love the Kiwi All Blacks.
We can't talk about them right at the moment. They're a little bit disappointing.
I love the All Blacks. I love everything about them. Obviously, Australian rules is huge, like part of my life, and I just love that, like helping and no judgment, no egos. No one's better than anyone else. That's huge, and I don't want people coming into our system, doesn't matter where they are in the world, and just telling everyone how good they are. It's about helping each other.
Exactly, yeah. There's no place for that, is there really? Keep that to yourself. So where's the furthest away? Where's your furthest away client from here in Melbourne?
Oh, London. We've got London. There's a couple in London, which is that's pretty far.
We have a live
Shanghai.
We throw it out to whoever wants to jump on the first Saturday of the month. So, yeah, we have a guy in China that jumps on most of the time. Cool. Canada, States.
Cool.
States, yeah. But yeah, Europe's pretty cool.
All different times. London, it's sort of a bit late because it's quite early we run here.
Well, they'd be all at the pub by that stage, wouldn't they? Getting their 10 pints in.
One pint, 1K, 1 point, 1K. But no, mate, look, yeah, we're very lucky. Look, obviously everyone, people know business owners, everyone works hard. So we're just lucky that we can do what we love, especially, and with great people who really appreciate it, and it doesn't matter where they are in the world. And the best thing now, Bruno, is a lot of these people I've never met, ever. And they are the ones that are just loving it more than ever, which I love. I love people that are giving us feedback that I've never met before. Obviously, Melbourne's magnificent. We've got a great little Melbourne culture. But the people overseas or people in a state that are just loving it more than anyone is because they get 1 or 2 sessions in a week. They feel part of a team. But more importantly, the only way to get success, as you know, you've done so well all off your own hard work, is 50, 100, 150 weeks of routine. And it's all regularity has to come first. Okay, you can't be great. You got to be great at being consistent.
Yeah,
it's got nothing to do with bloody.
It's simple though, isn't it? It's a simple ethos.
When we say it, it is, mate.
Yeah.
But it just when we've got things creep up in life and things get in the way, and they go, oh fuck it, I might just do it tomorrow. No, you got to stick to this. You got to make this running session Tuesday, Friday, whatever it is. Just it's more religious than brushing your teeth. It just bloody has to be. If it's a shit session, then whatever, mate. It'll compound over days and weeks. So think about. Don't wait till you feel good, because you'll never bloody do anything. If you wait till you're feeling good, or I feel like shit today, I'm going to run like shit, rubbish. Just get out and jog, walk.
Yeah.
Walk. It's the people that do that, they're the ones that don't get anywhere. The people that keep just ticking the box at jog walking and don't attach no negative narratives to it, they're the ones that hugely successful.
So once again, it comes down to that mental component, that it's not all about the physical side. It's a 50-50, 80-20 probably makeup.
100%.
Get your mind right, and the rest will follow.
Routine is absolutely everything, mate.
Hey, we had to take a little bit of a break because somebody needed to go wee-wees.
Too many coffees and beers, Bruno. Like, far too many coffees to Savo, and then a couple of drafts just got me over the line. Apologies, guys.
No, that's all right. We were doing well. We were talking about marathons before we broke. So what's your top 5 tips for somebody that wants to do a marathon?
Yeah, well, just before I ducked out, I was told everyone should be doing one. I told the guys everyone should be looking to do a marathon, even if you think you're going to run, walk 7 hours. Definitely sign up. Number 1, hold yourself accountable.
For sure. That's the first step and the hardest step, isn't it?
100%. Just get your credit card out and go to whatever marathon you want and just sign up, Bruno. I don't care. 20 weeks, give yourself 20 weeks ideally. Find a coach and get a plan. Look at runners.com, pretty good.
That's important.
Strength and mobility, because your body, your chassis, your body is going to need it. So strength doesn't have to be crazy amounts, 20, 30, 60 minutes a week. Mobility, ankles, hips, back. Number 3, run at different paces often. So Runners system obviously gets you running faster for 5 and 10K, and that parlays to the marathon. So 1 or 2 sessions a week quicker, and your longer, slower stuff build up that specific volume. Number 5 is what we said before, mate. Love the process, love the journey. The journey and the process, that is the success, and you get to amplify that, put a full stop on it, and celebrate like we saw you and the MCG on marathon day. So there's my big 5, but it's the greatest thing of all time, mate. I recommend everyone do one in their life.
How many have you done?
I've only done 5. I've done when I was running some nice times, and again was more of a track and middle distance guy, long football. But again, at this stage of my life now, the last decade, I've not run any marathons, just coaching. I'm ready to reintroduce myself back to the long distance and just run them for what we're talking about, for well-being, for mental health, and just love running with people, the long distance stuff.
Do you agree that it's hard on your body, hard on your chassis?
There's a lot of science coming out now that done properly, it's actually better for osteoporosis and knees and the skeletal system. So no, I'd dare say no, because, mate, our bodies can do amazing things. And running a marathon, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, compared to some of the things our body can do, to be honest, mate, no. If you do it intelligently and you do lift, I know you lift, you love your strength, you look after your mental well-being, meditation time, mindfulness type stuff. Mobility is ridiculously underrated. People think they've got to do mobility 15 minutes at a time. 3 to 5 minute segments, 8 days a week, 6 to 7 days a week. You know what I mean? Just regularity. You look at a year being 365 days. Like, if you can do mobility 340 for 2 to 3 minutes, hips and ankles, you're going to be in a good spot. I know you're well versed to talk on hips, but strength, glute med, glute max, hamstrings, big posterior chain, all the usual stuff, mate. No, I don't agree. I'm not just because I'm in the game. I think it's a misnomer. People say don't run, and they get told don't run by a certain doctor or surgeon, and then I've got so many people who've been runners that have been running for 15 years after that and couldn't imagine their life without it. So yeah, maybe there's some things that are bad for your body, but running isn't one.
That's the one thing about it, is that once you've had it and it's taken away from you, it leaves a bit of a hole. I mean, you guys know my track record. I've got an artificial hip. I've got a rod down one leg. Technically, my running career is over at 50. Now, that's hard to take, but I've accepted it. You reckon you could probably get me back out there?
I heavily disagree. I'm not saying you're going to run. You've done amazing things, and we're going to talk about later. But mate, no, I don't. I disagree. There's ways. So if Breno might do 30-second jog, 2.5 minute walk for 10 minutes, and then build that up by 10-second blocks, and there's certainly ways. We could do a whole show on that. But I would never, ever, ever say, and this is even if you lost both your legs, that running's done. But there's ways. There is always a way. Listeners and viewers, that never think it's over, especially if it's a big part of your life.
Yep, exactly. And that mental side as well too. You know, because
we're better people, mate. I tell you, I had someone in the gym today that he's a physio, 30-year physio, and he's just started running again after a long injury love. Mate, his general mood was just amazing. I loved him. He's just a champion. He knows all this stuff himself. That's the thing. But I go, mate, you're up and about. He goes, yeah, I'm 2 weeks back. I go, mate, it's fantastic. And it doesn't have to be about running marathons ever again, mate. Especially like for you, got genuine, seriously injuries, but just getting out twice a week.
Yep.
How much better is life? Like it's a beautiful thing.
Even better if you can get it done first thing, because it just sets up your day.
Well, that's why I train at the gym in the morning, because it does set my day up. Yeah. I get a good night's sleep, get in the gym, it just sets me up for my day. And then I'm tired at the end of the day and I sleep well. So it's a good little routine. But
I know we're on here thinking like, we're not preaching to people, but Jesus, like the morning is the best time of the day.
Yeah.
We're not trying to preach. We're not trying to say, you must get up, and people go, you're crazy, like get out, like you don't know what my life's like. Chances are we don't, but we've been there or done that in some form. Like we've all had issues and struggles, but we're just massive on helping people if they can get up 30 minutes earlier, 20 minutes earlier, and do something, because it's going to go a very long way for the rest of your day, week, year, month. Productivity is going to be amazing.
Even to catch that sunrise, you know.
Lots of science around that, mate. You could do a whole show on that as well. The science of the optic nerve hitting the sunrise before a phone. Like, there's a crazy amount of science.
It's just beautiful. So we've talked about long distance running, but I want to talk about a certain guy that was on a big billboard in your studio prior to COVID. Now, his name's Steve Prefontaine. Is that correct?
That is correct, mate. You did it. It was beautiful.
What does he mean?
It was a big
What does he mean to you?
Yes. Well, he means a lot of things to a lot of people. He's my favourite athlete of all time. Definitely favourite runner. He was a champion American runner. Some of the viewers and listeners might know. Late 60s, early 70s. Just ran on pure heart. Really, he was like an American rock star for a track athlete. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Ran from the front, from the outset, ran on just ticker, and was not, certainly wasn't put in a box. Like, didn't want to run like behind anyone or draft by anyone. Was a really hard trainer. Loved the animalistic nature of just going out hard from the start, which I do love. Well, as a coach, it's obviously not tactically good, but he's just, I love his attitude. He died in a car accident before he had a chance to go to the Olympics in 76, but 1972 he was fourth in the 5,000, but not before one of the bravest races of all time. So there's 2 movies on him, Prefontaine and Without Limits, that I recommend all viewers watch, and just his general attitude to life, and you can see that. If you can't, it all begins and ends in the mind. What you give power to is power over you, if you allow it. And yeah, that was a massive, massive poster we had up over the bar, didn't we, Dale?
huge.
Yeah.
Breno made that for us. It was magnificent.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was
And we've
gorgeous.
still got it
Yep.
in our little studio. It's folded
Quite
up.
handsome too, isn't
He's
he?
a quite.
Oh, I love the moustache. I love the moustache. But it's typical of the era. But yeah, I did some research on him because I didn't know a lot about him, and I'd seen him in the studio. I'd sort of Googled him and then forgot about him, and then obviously doing some research for today. Just the heart of the guy, and just the pure passion for the sport. And he was taken so soon, so early, in a car accident.
Not too. I guess you look at the American cult heroes, and I don't look James Dean type setup. You know what I mean? Like, he had a lot of James Dean about him.
Yeah, he did.
And he's not too dissimilar. He probably wins 1976, 5,000 metres. He probably wins it if he's alive. But he's obviously... So, 72, he just went balls to the wall 4, 5, 6 times. You had Lassie Veron and a few of these absolute superstars in the same race. And he was a 21-year-old kid. It's crazy, mate. Like, just his whole, everything about him. He's an American. The fact we're still talking about him on a podcast in 2022.
Exactly.
That's 50-year anniversary. It's nuts. Like, there's not one Australian, American, any distance runner that didn't win a medal in any world champ or Olympics that we're still going to talk about. It's craziness. That's the kind of person he is. I just loved everything about him, and he's certainly a massive idol of mine. For many reasons. I think his mindset, to be honest, he had a belief that, I guess what I loved him as a young fella, what really gelled with me was he had a belief that he could tolerate more physical pain than anyone else on earth, which I absolutely loved. And that's probably one of the main things I loved about him as well.
Amazing. What was his last event? Do you know what his last race was prior to his death?
Yeah, he ran a meet, an American meet, on the day he died. Good question. He definitely won it. It wasn't a big meet, mate, but it was 1975, coming into the summer. He died in May, and coming into the summer, so for their summer, obviously, he ran a really nice race there. So he was on target again.
Yeah.
He had a couple of years living in a caravan in between Olympics. He lost the plot because he obviously wanted to win gold at 21 in 72, but he was on the way back in a big, big, big way. So I implore the listeners and the viewers just to have a look at it, because Mate, you don't have to like athletics to like this bloke.
Yeah, he just loved life, didn't he?
Yeah, Shelley loved it.
Just
Obviously,
Wikipedia, the page, just have a read.
Shell's
It's
got a
good read.
retrospective crush, as you can see, and that's great. He's a good-looking
He
rooster.
was full of life, though, wasn't he?
Full of life. If I grow a male, I won't look like that. I'll give you the
Talking
tip.
about living till you die.
Oh.
He could be
every
the
moment
mantra.
of every day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I wanted to bring him up today. And I've got another name for you, Catherine Switzer.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Now, what does Catherine Switzer mean to you, Shell?
well, Catherine Switzer was the first, with Chimsy's the first marathon. Like, I'll probably more versed to talk about this, but then Shell can go on. First lady to complete a marathon, and
That's
behind,
a gold photo, isn't it?
yeah, that
It is.
photos and that.
1967 Boston Marathon.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
You've done your research. Jock Semple's behind her. That's Jock Semple, and he's the director of that particular marathon. And Catherine Switzer actually registered under Kay Switzer, wore pants and a hat. And then when he realised what was going on, because obviously back then some of these dickhead males thought that, I don't know, it's their domain or whatever they may be. Your uterus is going to fall out and all kinds of. Nah, serious.
It was a sort. Well, that's just the times.
Of
Those
course.
are the times back
Of course.
then. And that's why I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about this? What does this mean to you?
It's so
As a female?
it's so inspirational. Like, just go for it. Doesn't matter what sex you are. Just go for it.
Does it make you angry? That makes me angry looking at that. And if you
It's
know the
inspiring
story,
for me, yeah.
if you know the story behind that picture and the race director, you just want to punch him in the face.
100%, yeah. But yeah, she's.
She doesn't get
amazing.
angry very much. She's very zen.
It's
Reason.
inspiring to me. It just doesn't matter what they do. Just
So she paved the way. So
Yeah.
from that event, from that date, females were allowed to run in marathons.
Huge,
And,
isn't it?
and
Still took a while.
was it just marathons?
Yeah, mate. So at one stage they couldn't run more than, I think, 3,000 metres at track meets. So that was 67, and I think Joan Benoit Samuelson was the first Olympic gold medalist in the marathon in 1984. So for the marathon to come in Olympics for females still took, what's that? Yeah, another 17
84,
years. Yeah.
jeez.
So it still took a while. So she's a trailblazer, and she's still going strong. Catherine in her 70s, and she's amazing. That's her boyfriend. That's a great photo, Breno. That's a photo you don't normally
really
see.
good
The boyfriend just goes bloody bang and gets a good hip and shoulder in there. And she's allowed to finish the race, and lots of good female runners, obviously, in that late 60s came on, but it wasn't in the Olympics until 84. And then, like Shell said, like, you can get angry or you can just worry about, like, if you put yourself back in those times, well, we can't imagine it in this day. Like, everything's so amazing where we live in this time, but just a horrible situation to be in, to feel like you're restricted in some way. But this late, like, how's that? The courage
of that,
and the moment in time. That's a photo in time that should be used for thousands of years, because like that literally sliding doors moment right there.
Exactly. And she came back 50 years later and ran the Boston Marathon,
It's
didn't
amazing.
she?
Yeah, it's beautiful. That's a beautiful story. And was well celebrated
maybe
too.
not in a tracksuit.
No, not in a track, not in a tracky
I
dax.
can't imagine running that distance in that heavy sweat.
They used to, mate.
The heavy sweater material, like the
Yeah,
old,
the polar fleece. Yeah.
People used to, like, I don't know how they did it, but like, she was well celebrated when she came back on the 50-year anniversary. But that day, like, I doubt that would have made a ripple, mate. Like, it's made a ripple now, but it wouldn't have made a ripple much. Like, people wouldn't have read it, would have read about it on their phones, or it's not going to make the papers. It wouldn't, nothing. But now I'm very happy that we're still talking about it, and we've got a big poster up of her in our studio as well.
Awesome! That's fantastic.
Yeah, only not quite the size of you actually did that as well, mate. If you remember that, but not quite.
No, I don't.
But I do love her. She's a massive icon of runners.
Man, bit of history there, isn't it?
It's good. It's good for people to learn. And if you look, I love learn. This is why I love listening to this kind of stuff, living till I die type stuff. Because if I hear this person's name that I don't know, I want to go and read about it, and then send you down rabbit holes. I want to know more about that individual.
Well, as we've said previously, it's all about knowledge and learning and drawing these stories out of people, and just learning and adding to your journey in life. That's all I want to do, and that's why you guys are sitting here, because I want you to tell me and my listeners stuff that I didn't know or I should know, and then educate and I'm going to get back running again. I know I can do it because you've just told me I can.
You will, mate.
So, yes, from our listeners' point of view, if they can just take one thing away from an hour and a half, that's, I mean, it's a lot to invest, but they should be entertained along the way, of course. But just one thing, and that's all I do on a daily basis. If I can get up and I can learn one thing that I didn't know the day before, and I can be a better person because of that, and because of what I do, how good's that?
Mate.
How good is that? It's a really simple ethos.
It's the ultimate, but it's also, people need to remember that more often, I think, because they get too tied up in their day-to-day and our schedules. But if we can just strip it right back. And
That's exactly that. Strip it back and just go to the basics. Even if you've got to tear down the house and relook at the foundations.
Yeah.
Make sure the foundation is solid and you've got your ducks in a row. And then the stresses that you may have, or the issues with family or this and that, I say you have to look after number one first before you can be a better dad, a better husband, a better friend. If I'm not in the right headspace, or I'm not right, there's no point in me trying to add value to anybody else's life, you know. And I've got people, like everybody, have got people that rely on me to be a better person. So on a day-to-day basis, whether it's concentrating on it daily or once weekly, it's making sure that I can be the best version of me. And I remember coming out of a really shitty period in my life in my late 30s. And Brendo 2.0 was the product of coming through that. And it was the awareness of, okay, I understand my journey. I understand it, and there was a clarity about it, because you can get really tied up and busy with everything in life and not understand why things are happening. And sometimes it takes a really bad event or a really just a shitty period in life to get that low, to go, all right, what's happening? Why is this happening? Stop. Let's have a look at what's happened or what's led up to this, and then make some steps to improve. And once again, it's not just self-improvement, it's improving your existence with your friends and your family. You know, as I said, I can't be a good dad if I'm not in a good headspace. And for me personally, on a daily, on a weekly, it's just constantly working on that so that I can be that person. And Lured State of Mind is the product of this. And I want people to understand that, okay, life's hard. We all understand life is hard, but it doesn't have to be hard. You know, we can, if we've got issues or we've got stuff that we need to work through, there's always people there to support you. You know, you can always just pick up the phone or reach out, or if you see somebody that needs some help, to reach out and talk to them, check in with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just, again, just taking that time on a daily basis so it's consistent.
Yes, time.
And just checking in, how am I today? How am I feeling inside? You know, and just taking a few minutes. One thing that's really changed our life is just getting up an hour earlier. We read the book, The 5 a.m. Club, and
5 a.m. Club. Can you just make a note of that, Mev? I think I need to read that.
Our life, hasn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, and it throws to what I was saying before, even if it's half an hour early. But yeah, continue.
It's you know, going and learning things. You know, some people think they don't have the time to do that, or they don't have the time to meditate, but if you're doing that daily, first up in the morning, it's like, we actually call it our hour of magic. So we'll move for 20 minutes and meditate for 20, and then learn for 20, and you know, just learn whatever you're feeling like in the moment at the time, and where you're at and what you want to learn. And with the internet, we've got access to everything. You know, you can read a book, whatever it is at the time, but if you're chipping away at that every day, and that's the way you start your day, your day's
It's creating
better for everybody.
Creating good habits.
Also,
Everybody gets everybody has habits.
Yeah.
In their life, and what you don't want is those habits to form who you are, and then you not realise why you've become that person. And as you say, just a daily, getting up early, changing the habits, changing what you've normally done, and making a change, and then understanding how that change affects you. and if it affects you positively, well, you're going to keep that habit,
Yeah,
aren't you?
absolutely.
So true, mate. Yeah, and just making space for that when you're mentally fresh, exactly in the morning. Whereas if you're going to leave stuff, look, stuff's going to take over. So if you're going to leave it till 4 p.m. or 6 p.m. or 8 p.m. So yeah, it's a brilliant place when you're cognitively fresh, and just to get up. If you get up like training, but like what we do, or what anyone does before they start their day, it's always going to be worth it. Always. You're never ever ever going to regret
Love
it.
it. Always.
Never going to regret it, brother. Ever.
It helps you be able to check in throughout the day as well, I feel.
100%, because you've already done it. And
your
what
nervous system is used to it.
exactly? Yeah. So if you've already done that, you've already trained, like even a 20-minute whatever session, 40-minute whatever it is, and then meditation and some learning of some nature. You've been checking into those three things throughout the day because it's there, it's right there, front of mind. But number one, we say it all the time, about being a better mum, dad, employer, employee.
Yep.
Whatever it may be, but definitely mum, dad, spouse, because nothing's more important than family. So if you can be a better version of yourself, and what does that look like? What's the very best version of yourself look like? That it includes this kind of stuff that we've spoke about for the last hour, mate.
I see you guys as this perfect unit working in harmony because you've got the awareness of what you need to do to make it happen. And you obviously talk, you sit down and talk, you communicate, and once again, you've got this great foundation, which is great to see, you know. But a lot of it, that is communication, and then understanding what you're communicating, and what you need to do. If you need to make improvements, like sometimes it's not always broken; it just needs a little bit of a polish up, you know. So it's good to see. It's really good to see.
Lots of tweaks, mate. Don't worry about that.
It's a constant. Look, there is no
more
there
with
is no
me than
playbook.
Shell, mate. Shell, unfortunately, Shell's perfect and I'm fucked. But I tweak myself a bit. I try to improve myself a bit.
Well, as you said, there's no playbook. There's no manual. There's no manual.
No, we're getting there, mate. But always a work in progress as well. But like you said about yourself, mate, you always, every single day, you want to get better.
Yeah.
And you're kidding yourself if you don't. Seriously.
Otherwise, what's the point? Yeah. I don't understand people that get up and go through the routine and just accept that as the norm. You know, it's
never accept. If you're not happy in a situation, never ever accept what's in front of you. If you're not happy, believe me, it doesn't matter how many blockages are in your way, you can always change the situation.
Exactly.
And it's looking for that joy, things that light you up, and getting out of your comfort zone, and you know, being a bit playful.
That's what makes you feel alive, doesn't it? When you go out and do something that you haven't done before, you get in a situation where the old heart rate goes up a little bit. You get a little bit excited about it, you know, or you learn something, learn a new skill. Go, hey, fuck, that's cool. I know how to do that now. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Hey, personally, what have you guys got? I mean, we've been through a tough couple of years. It's been tough on a lot of people, a lot of families. You guys have obviously been up and about during that period. What have you guys got to look forward to in the near future? What are you aspiring to? Have you got any projects? Is there something that you want to do? I'll start with you, Rick.
Yep, good call. Shell says this a lot to me, like, what do you love doing? Excuse me, I'm sneezy, I reckon.
You're not going to cry, are you?
I'm going to sneeze, I reckon. Cut this if I sneeze, I'm about to. Yep. Oh, Blake, you know when you're going to sneeze? Sorry, Mav. All right. No, I'm good now. No. Look forward to definitely continuing to do what we're doing, because we do love what we do. So I love every day. I really do. I love every day with people, and we've got lots of stuff in a sporting sense, from running and football type stuff that I'm doing that I really do look forward to. Like, we've got football stuff that isn't gonna make any waves overseas or anything, but I really enjoy that. But I guess just seeing what we can do the next 3 to 5 years from a world sense, from a coaching sense, a business sense, and more importantly, I just love the way we can, sounds corny, but realistically change lives closer to us as well. So watching the kids grow and develop, watching what we do, and change people's whole way of being and just say, well, I haven't done anything for 10 years from a mental perspective. I've been this down, and then I know that we can help people in that sense. And it's really what I do look for. I love seeing people change their whole way of being. So we've spoken many times, me and you, just about what we do day to day and how it makes us feel. But people don't know that yet. So I'm looking forward to being able to help people with that, number one. But yeah, just from a general sense, I guess I'm not great at looking too far ahead either. So that's a good question, because Cheryl knows I'm not good at that at all. Day to day, I really try to stay. But yeah, I love like some holidays with the family and just enjoying that kind of stuff. And I'm very privileged to be able to help people from all over the world. So I've gone round and round. That was a good question, unprepared though for that
really
one.
Good question.
That's right.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm on par with Rick with this. The main thing, I suppose, is just experiencing life as much as you can, and helping people is just huge. It's just what we want to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Helping people.
It's the passion.
Just those two words.
Yeah.
It's
Well, if I died tomorrow, then I'm pretty happy that I've helped tens of thousands of people already. So I think if your job doesn't matter what mortgages or bloody whatever, houses, possessions mean stuff all, really. And that's what this whole podcast is about, mate. And I know you probably got us on for that reason. Like we're not materialistic at all. And if you look at this podcast that Breno set up, it's elite. And if you're gonna ever have a better motto to live by, it's this. Like it's you're kidding yourself. You're not. Like, no one gives a shit about what you got when you die. But if you can help one person, that parlays to 1,000. If you help 10,000, then fuck me. Like seriously. And if you do it from an authentic, genuine space, then like that's all you want, mate.
yeah. So for you to say now that if you died you'd be happy, that's hard for me to hear. That's really hard for me to hear. I mean, Rusty, a guest on the previous podcast, said the same thing. He was happy and content that if he did have to go today, he would have done enough in his life. And for me personally, it's hard to swallow because I feel like there's a lot of unfinished business. You know, it's like I'm looking for something and I haven't found it yet. And for me, it's about a reason. So, but the good thing about it that comes out of that mindset is Lewd. And this ethos that I'm going to live until I die, and I'm going to keep learning, and I'm going to keep growing, and I'm going to be a better person. But yeah, a lot of unfinished business. Don't get me wrong, I definitely have got unfinished business as well, and I love the drive, but I love what you've created here. And every day, I'm exactly the same. I want to get better. I want to continue to help people. But I guess I was just talking retrospectively. If you can look back and go, geez, you made a difference, and one person, 1,000 people, doesn't matter. And I think what you're doing now, mate, look, if one person hears this show, then you've changed a life. And that's I think you can start to really look on that pretty fondly, in my humble opinion. But yeah, this kind of stuff's brilliant. And we're very lucky in the age of internet and technology that we can do this kind of stuff and share and learn. We can learn, and conversely, we can help other people. So, geez, it's a bloody good time to be alive. Like I say every day, Breno, it's a privilege to be breathing. It's a privilege to be moving. Yep.
And Jesus Christ, it's a privilege to be here, mate.
Well, I'm as I said earlier, I'm really honoured to have you guys. I've known you guys for a long time. I love everything you do. I love your ethos, and I've probably fed off of that a little bit. And I hope everybody that you come in contact with understands what you're trying to get across. And as I said, for you guys to be sitting opposite me today and just helping spread that message, it's pretty special. It's pretty special. Is there anything that you want to ask me? Because I've been asking questions. I mean, surely you've got a couple.
I like these off the cuff type setups, Breno. You've done well. Righto, Tim, you got anything for him or what?
Well, in the marathon, I didn't want to butt in, but I just wanted to know, what was your motivation of why you did want to do a marathon? Going back to the marathon.
Well, it actually all started when old Buggerlugs over here was born. So I was standing next to my car on the road opposite Sandy Hospital after he was born, after 36 hours of labour. And I was having a cigarette and I was calling my family. And obviously it was just a lot, everybody was tired. But we were all relieved, healthy young boy. And as I said, I'm smoking a cigarette and go, what the fuck am I doing? Seriously, what am I doing? I've got a son. And as I said previously, I didn't want to have children. It was something that I never wanted, because then I would have to be responsible for another life. Now, that doesn't mean I'm a selfish person. It just means that I thought, like we talked about before, I had bigger things that I wanted to achieve, and stuff that I needed to just get over a few more hurdles before I could be responsible for another life. And that was my journey to start running. Now, I've never been athletic. I mean, I played soccer as a child, and was always doing something. I lost my way in my 20s when I started business, and then really got into the gym and understood about the body and how it works and how it can work for you to be better and improve yourself. So yeah, when I started running, as I explained previously, for me it was like a lot of other things I've done. It was the mindset, like I have in business, that it is just one foot in front of the other. It's about simple steps, and you've got to start somewhere. But the reason why I strapped on a pair of runners was probably because of mental health. And I think I needed an outlet, and we talked about Runners High. Man, I missed that. I really missed that. And I've done a lot of other stuff since I stopped running, but it's not the same. It's not the same as a Runners High. But going back to the process, for me, like with this, that anything that I set my mind to, I'm going to fucking do it 100%. And I'm going to invest everything I can. And along the way, I was probably a little bit selfish, where all I wanted to do was just make sure that I was looking after myself physically, mentally, to be able to cross this hurdle. So the journey was amazing. Just doing your first 5K and then doing a bit of time in your next 5K and then going, well, let's sign up for a 10K. How hard's that? Well, it's not that hard. And building on that, I remember my first half marathon had some sort of structure. It didn't come to fruition, but I completed it. And from that building block, I just wanted to improve. I wanted to be better and better and better. And that's why I said, when I didn't get the time that I did with the marathon, because of the mindset I had that I can do a sub 4, and for my body to let me down, it just drove me to want to do it more and do it again and do it better. And I apply that to anything I've done in life, in business, anything else. And it's maybe I'm just a stubborn bastard,
That's a very good question, because I didn't know it was going to go. That was really good. And I agree. I reckon that's the only reason. Like, so I often I'm training, and like you want to be the best version of yourself for your family, for your kids, and we've all got our vices, and I've got many, but if you can be the best version of yourself, and that marathon is a great example of what made you, and that's why I said to the viewers before that you definitely will be a runner again, whether you do a marathon or not. On the body that you've got at the moment, you've done amazing. Look, you look so fit. You're always so positive and strong because you train every day.
I love having people like you around. You
No,
just
but-
pump my
no,
fucking
no,
tires
no, I
up. It's
won't,
amazing.
Mate. No, mate, if you look like shit, I'd tell you, believe me. If he was an ugly prick, I'd tell him as well. But he's not, and unfortunately he's a good-looking bloke, and he lifts some nice weights. But if he wants to run again, he can, and that's the big thing. Question.
Oh, just before you go on,
Oh, yes.
I did give up smoking.
Oh, fuck, I hope so. Because we're in the year where, I don't want to date this, but it's dated on the year 2022. I'd like to think you give it the darts. What year did you get the darts? How old was Matt?
It was that year. It wasn't straight away, but it was definitely that year.
I know you absolutely love experiences, but I reckon I want to question about notice. Your 3 favourite cities in the world.
In the world. Okay.
Good question.
No shock here. They're all in Japan. I love that place.
The one country.
The one country. I absolutely love it.
Jesus.
So we're talking Osaka, Sapporo, which is up north, which is where we fly in to go snowboarding,
Beautiful.
and then Tokyo. What a fucking madhouse that place
Never
is.
been to Japan. Dale, have you been to Japan?
No,
Have you ever been?
it's on the bucket list.
Oh,
Snowboarded.
you've got to go. You've got to go. Yes, Asahi Beverages. There's another plug.
Now,
for-
you also climbed Mount Fuji, which
did.
It's probably a show for another show. But if you can you tell us about that? You know,
Yeah, I did it in 2015. So the climbing season starts in July, and my birthday's on the 10th of July. And when I climbed it, I was at the peak of Mount Fuji on the morning of my birthday when the sun came up, and that was
pretty amazing.
fucking amazing.
Tell us about, because mate, excuse my ignorance, like Mount Fuji. Tell us about that, because if you can, in a few bites.
Well, if you've seen the photos, it's just absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it's not the biggest mountain.
Was it quite treacherous? Like, is it hard? Is it dangerous? Because I don't know much about it. Apologies.
Look,
Now,
there's a-
as the show swapped, I'm the podcast host. Welcome to Lewis. I'm asking Brendan Gray all these questions. So is Mount Fuji treacherous? Is it dangerous? And what was your experience?
Oh, look,
like?
it can be. My experience was amazing. I went with a good buddy, and we did our research on it. It wasn't, if you're fit, it wasn't a hard climb. So what you do is that you go from Station 8, which is where the main tourist hub is on Mount Fuji, where a lot of the buses go. Station 5, and then you walk up to Station 8, which is about 3/4 of the way up. You spend the night there, and the idea is you get up early the following day in the dark, and you do the hour and a half or the 2 hours to the summit, and you're there for when the sun comes up, which is exactly what we did. So we're actually going to do a podcast on Mount Fuji and everything to do with getting there, because I think if you can and you have the opportunity to go there, if you've never been to Japan, go. If you can go and you can do Mount Fuji, unbelievable.
This needs to be what the show's all about. I love this kind of stuff. Live until I die.
Hey guys, look, an hour and a half in, that's amazing. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. It is such an honour to have you guys here, and I hope you do come back, because I don't think we're finished somehow. I think there's a lot more to be said. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Absolute
100%
privilege.
We'll be back. That's awesome. Thanks,
See you
Mav,
guys
too.
soon. That's a wrap, Mav.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in and for your time. You know the vibe, I'm steady living until I die. It's a loose state of mind, and we showed you that. Keep it authentic and real, I hope you coming back. Hey, make sure that you subscribe, cause we got it popping all the time, man, it's going down. If you wanna elevate, wanna live a better life, keep it locked here. You know it's a loose state of mind, let's go.